This is a 25th anniversary Bandai Art Dark Magician, and I think in the future, this will be worth... seriously? These are all ones! Joking aside, I'm going to go over the 3 reasons why I think the 25th anniversary Dark Magician will be an extremely valuable card in the future. Before I go over what makes this specific Dark Magician valuable, I want to go over what makes a Yu-Gi-Oh card worth money in the first place. Cards can be generally classified into 2 categories: collectible and playable. Playable cards get their value from their rarity and their strength in the card game. The rarer a card is, and the better its ability, the more money players would be willing to pay for it to put it into their deck in order to gain a competitive advantage in tournaments. However, the 25th anniversary Dark Magician would be considered a collectible card, especially considering there are many much cheaper versions for players to use in their decks. Collectible cards have 3 factors determining their value or price. First is the scarcity or rarity, that is, how many were printed. Next is condition, or how many cards remain in mint condition or undamaged. And third is demand. Does the community view these cards as collectible, desirable, and nostalgic? Typically, vintage Yu-Gi-Oh cards weren't that rare. Konami printed quite a few of them. However, very few of the cards from Yu-Gi-Oh's release 25 years ago were kept in good condition. Because the cards have nostalgic value, the small number of mint condition cards from Yu-Gi-Oh's original release can demand quite high prices. For example, a near mint first edition Dark Magician from Starter Deck Yugi sells for around $600, while damaged copies only sell for around $20. Now for modern cards, many are actually much rarer than old school Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Ghost Rares are printed on an average of 1 per case. That's 12 boxes or 288 packs. Starlight Rares are even rarer, printed in approximately 1 per 2 cases. That's 24 boxes or 576 packs. Compare that to old school Yu-Gi-Oh Ultra Rares, printed 1 per 12 packs, or Secret Rares, printed approximately 1 per 36 packs, and you can see the difference. Despite the increase in rarity of modern cards, the fact that almost anyone opening Yu-Gi-Oh packs these days puts the rare cards directly into sleeves means that many more cards remain in good condition than they did 25 years ago. So we have vintage cards, despite being heavily printed, get most of their value from the fact that very few cards remain in mint condition these days. And we have modern cards, gain their value from the fact that they're extremely difficult to pull from packs, but the ones in circulation tend to be close to mint condition. Now back to what you're here for, the 25th anniversary Bandai Art Dark Magician. While I don't think that anyone would argue that Dark Magician doesn't have demand as a collectible, even in modern print, we can dispel that idea by looking at a recent precedent. The Ghost Rare Dark Magician printed in 2021 Ghost from the Past has proven that there's definitely a market for rare modern reprints of nostalgic cards. The all-time high PSA 10 sale for a Ghost Rare Dark Magician was around $6,000, while more recent sales are coming in around $3,000. That's a higher price than even many vintage cards in high PSA grades. So we can likely predict that the demand for the 25th anniversary Dark Magician will be large. Now we can move on to talking about rarity and condition. I believe that the new printing of this iconic card will have the best of both worlds. That is, very few printed and very few kept in good condition. First, it appears to have been printed approximately 1 card per 2 cases, or 576 packs. That's quite rare. Also, there are rumors that Battle of Chaos, the set containing the 25th anniversary Dark Magician, will be a 1-wave set. This means that once the first wave of first edition boxes have been distributed, there won't be a second wave of first edition product hitting store shelves. Depending on the total amount of Battle of Chaos printed in the first wave, this could mean that the rare cards from this set could be relatively more rare than comparable cards from previous sets. This is yet another reason to believe that the 25th anniversary Dark Magician is quite a rare card. Next, we're going to talk about condition. But you might be wondering, how can a modern card not be in mint condition when it was just released? While it might not be obvious, that question actually has 2 answers. First, and perhaps most noticeable, stems from the fact that Konami decided to place the 25th anniversary Dark Magician as the last card in the pack. Usually, the rarest card in the pack is placed in the middle, which protects it from damage during packaging, shipping, and opening the packs. Because the Dark Magician was placed at the back of the pack, there have been many documented openings where straight out of the pack, the Dark Magician has damaged corners. For example, Ruxin34 opened several cases and ended up pulling 5 Dark Magicians, but 4 of them came out of the packs with bent corners. This is like built-in aging for a modern Yu-Gi-Oh card. While it's impossible to predict just how many of the Dark Magicians were damaged within the packs, it will clearly have an impact on the price of the card going forward. And the corner damage is just the first issue when it comes to the Dark Magician's condition. The second issue arises from how cards are graded. Many collectors want to send their rarest cards off to grading companies to increase their value if the cards come back with a good grade. One thing that grading companies take very seriously is centering. This is especially true for PSA, the most popular grading company within the Yu-Gi-Oh community. If the card's border is noticeably off-center, even a little bit, it'll often be bumped down an entire grade. And from a pricing standpoint, the difference between a PSA 10, the best possible grade, and a PSA 9 can be huge. For example, An original starter deck Yugi Dark Magician card in PSA 10 has sold for $7,150, while a PSA 9 has only sold for $1,720. That's a massive impact when a well-centered card is worth 4 times that of an off-centered copy. I've scrolled through pages of eBay listings of the 25th Anniversary Dark Magician, and I've had trouble finding more than just a couple that have decent centering. Once again, it's tough to say exactly how many of the 25th Anniversary Dark Magicians are affected by this centering issue, but either way, it's large enough that it will have an impact on the card's price. I'm predicting that very few of these 25th Anniversary Dark Magicians will even have a chance at a PSA 10, with many getting a PSA 9 due to centering alone, and the cards that have damaged corners right out of the packs won't even be worth grading at all. Once graders start submitting their 25th Anniversary Dark Magician cards to PSA and start receiving them back, we'll get some data to confirm my predictions, or prove me entirely wrong. PSA publishes exactly how many of each card gets a certain grade. If the initial wave of 25th Anniversary Dark Magicians graded by PSA has a small number of PSA 10s relative to the number of PSA 9s, the price of those PSA 10s could skyrocket. We've seen this in the past with notoriously off-centered cards as well. For example, the set Legacy of Darkness is known for having centering issues. Recently, a PSA 10 Tyrant Dragon from the set Legacy of Darkness sold for $4,000, while the highest sale of a PSA 9 sold for $225. That's an 18% decrease. This is because there's so few PSA 10 Tyrant Dragons due to many of them being immediately bumped down to PSA 9 due to centering issues. If the 25th Anniversary Dark Magician has as large of a centering issue as Legacy of Darkness did, on top of the corner damage, get ready for some huge auctions of copies that did manage to receive a PSA 10. While this means that the majority of the new 25th Anniversary Dark Magicians won't have the chance to make a fortune for their owners, the lucky few who did manage to pull a PSA 10 candidate should hold on to their card for dear life, or at least until they have them graded.